I'm making a video about future which might not be very far, and just a bunch of little speculations. I made some videos about deflation before, and then one about singularity. The other one was what let's see, singularity, deflation, and zero marginal cost society. But I made different videos on each topic, but these are in a sequence. Like one will happen, then the next one, and then the next one. They're not separate topics. They're integrated in each other. And then there is another idea or topic that's has to do with Internet of Things and how everything is becoming a form of information that can be transmitted through wires or through radio waves. But if you look at some of the sci-fi, like Star Trek Next Generation, he's got this actualizer and he just puts a request for a cheesecake and pops out cheesecake. But let's look at this idea of, say for example, I have a cheesecake, okay, and I would like to have a machine that would synthesize a cheesecake for me, okay? So what would this machine entail? What would it need? Well, if first of all, I would need a scanner that could scan every atom and molecule of this cheesecake, okay? And this scanner must scan every atomic bond, or molecular bond, and what kind of bond it is, and what atom to what atom, okay? Then I need a tremendous hard drive. I don't know how many terabytes, thousands of terabytes, and to store all these information, like all the bonds and all the molecules, and it has to go from layer to layer, and each layer is like so many angstrom away from the other layer, something like that. And then I would have a three-dimensional hologram of all the atoms and their bonds. And then if I want to resynthesize this or make a 3D printer that could make a cheesecake for me, then I would have to have printer heads that could supply me with different atomic bonds ready to go. Say I would need hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, and a bunch of trace minerals and that, and then probably something, a printer head that can absorb or take the printer ink, in this case could be hydrogen or oxygen atoms, and then zap them to make them ready for that particular bond, and then put them together, something like that. And all of which requires a tremendous amount of computing power and a lot of storage, memory storage, and I don't know what I have to do to get the scanner that would scan every layer, angstrom by angstrom, of a cheesecake. Anyhow, but if we envision that we already have such a machine, but really, is it that we don't have this technology right now? I don't think there are too many parts of such a actualizer that we don't have right now. I think we have a lot of the bits and pieces of this technology. Okay, we already have 3D printers that could print like electronics with all the parts, all the wiring and all that, with the like amplifiers, everything. So going a step beyond and printing other stuff that's finer or on a molecular basis. I don't know how many years are we behind in that. I wouldn't say more than 5 years. So, but you know, I know why women think I'm weird and they won't date me. Okay, so alright. So what I'm thinking is that the sequence that will happen is that there will be a technological singularity where a lot of these technologies will come together, and a company or an individual can scan a device or a piece of electronics or a cheesecake, and all that will become information. Okay, then the next step would be to transport this information through wires or through radio wave to a device that will print it on the other end. Or, well, as we go along and we get the bits and pieces of these system, well, what will happen is that because there is a technological singularity, it becomes easier and easier to manufacture or even print from a plan or a scan different devices. And because it's simply a print, like a 3D scan print, the price will collapse, because all you're doing is pushing the print button, and so there will be a period of extreme deflation. Okay, and then as this process completes and more devices and things enter into Internet of Things, then we will enter zero marginal cost society, because all you'll have in one side is the scanner or the blueprint, and on the other side is the stuff of the printer or actualizer, and then the print. So it kind of collapses the price structure that we have in our society for products and stuff, because if everything becomes bits and pieces that are stored on a server, and on the other side all the stuff is on a server that just got off of another server, then just going to be printed, then you follow what I'm saying? We are entering, we are going from singularity to massive deflation to zero marginal cost society. Okay. Another way I think this can happen, or which is going to happen, is that as the technological advances in material science progress, you see that we can make a lot of stuff out of very few materials. Like, for example, you see all kinds of batteries have been made out of graphene. All kinds of water purifiers are made of graphene. All kinds of weapons, all kinds of electrical transportation, like high voltage electric wires made out of graphene or other carbon-based nanotubes. So this is I think this is the good model. Singularity or a very high advances in material science, and then the collapse in prices of stuff that we already have, but we are able to make them using these new materials, and then after a while it will all become so encoded and so It will become like just nothing more than bits and pieces that are stored on the server, and then we're gonna enter zero marginal cost society. We're making another copy of another thing, whatever that thing might be, like a cheesecake or my code, almost zero, and then this is like a triple whammy, or one after the other. So, but I want to go after this concept of deflation. I think that as we discover or start using more advanced materials that like graphene or nano carbon tubes, then we are able to synthesize or make many products and stuff very cheaply, or there will be better products too. So this technologically induced deflation is going to become a very strong trend. So you cannot stop this deflation because it's not based on labor. Okay, it's based on robotics, artificial intelligence, and materials that almost cost nothing. And then how you can stop that? I mean, it's like a process that you have, but in this process, there's no bottleneck, nowhere. There's no fixed cost that you cannot collapse to close to zero. For example, when you manufacture an item, there is the initial investment, and then there is the cost of labor, which you usually cannot go around except having to send it to foreign countries. Then that creates another complications, but that can be managed. But then there is still cost over there, and but if everything is manufactured with machines and robotics and AI, with very advanced materials that are almost cost nothing to make, like graphene, then where is the cost? Where is the how are you going to stop this deflation? It's not going to stop. And then when you add singularity, when all these technological processes become automated with robotics and AI, it's just a, I think this is like a very sharp incline downward in cost, and that nothing can prevent it from happening. I guess you get my drift of my ideas. Then our civilization or our society is based on some kind of labor, some kind of human input, some kind of what happens if this is removed. Then we have to find meaning or jobs that you still require a human being, and these will be very much tied to human beings themselves, like child rearing, therapy, helping each other, or making music. It will be very strongly related to humans and their needs that only human can satisfy that need. Well, I don't think prostitution will ever stop, or I would ever have to stop buying or going to topless bars. But yeah, this is the oldest profession, but I don't think it will go away. But so what if a lot of jobs or a lot of technologies, they kind of recede to the background, like we have now? You go into a dollar store and there's all this stuff that are very cheap, but they were just seamlessly made in a foreign country, like China or Vietnam, and they brought with the truck here, you just use them. And they are not really a significant thing. You wouldn't want to go work to make this stuff, because the work that goes into making them will never pay you enough to live here. Okay, so you get my drift. Yeah, this is a very interesting stuff, but when the pace of technological advancement, singularity, it becomes very quick, I think there will be a period of a lot of confusion in the human population, because it will be hard to adapt to such a society, even though there is a lot of abundance. If 90% of our institutions collapsed, then what? I think a lot of institutions that we have now, they have collapsed, but their memory lingers on, and we don't really think of them as not relevant or important anymore. I think one of the institutions that have collapsed is like colleges or universities. I could learn more about anything from YouTube than from colleges. If I really become more radical, I could go to Google and look at the scholarly articles written in PDF. Well, thank you for listening to my rant. And yeah, let me tell you, I'm not a weird scholar, okay? Just because I think or study these things doesn't mean that you shouldn't date me. If you're a pretty woman, I'm very good socially, and I do pay for my coffee date. Thank you very much. Please subscribe.